All right, good morning, everyone. Okay, I don't know if you guys can read what I have up here, but I want to go over a couple of things up on top here. This is a book. It's a real small book. It's about 45 pages long. It's not a very big book. It's written by a guy that I used to work with, and it has a lot of really good information in it. I think he's kind of using the book for a couple of reasons. He's trying to also use it as a recruiting tool because he's built a business kind of from starting out as a young man and in a franchise, and then he kind of built it over to, I think he has over 30 something locations now, and owns them all. It's no longer a franchise. He learned a lot of things from the franchise and learned a lot of things from a lot of people. But I want to start off by one of the first things that I saw as I'm reading the book is up here. It says basically that the important thing is when you okay, this is having to do with being millionaires. Okay, it's up here. He was in a meeting with one of his managers. They were talking about the top 10 traits of an eagle. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of, the difference between an eagle and a turkey, right? But one of the things it says don't be a turkey. If an eagle is hanging around a turkey, you'll think that he's a turkey. He won't be able to fly anymore. Knowing that you're an eagle, you must hang out with other eagles so you can soar as high as you can. And basically what that means is be around successful people, be around people with positive attitudes, be around with people that are going to, they're going to let you succeed. They're going to help you. You're going to help them. Be with other people that are like-minded. If you're around turkeys are people who are going to bring you down. They have a negative attitude. They have no real motivation. They have no desire to really be successful. They complain week to week that their pay is this, their pay is low, they're never going to be able to take care of their family the way they want. So that's the difference between an eagle and a turkey. The eagle wants to always soar. He always has a positive attitude. It's not always going to be perfect, but if you strive to get there every day and give 100% every day, and you stay around other like-minded people that are also eagles, you'll be an eagle. But if you get in the mindset that, this is just, and you start getting negative about it, you'll never go anywhere. And you'll hang around other people like that, you'll continue to bring other people down. So that's just kind of the gist of it, of that part. And then I got to another page here. I'm just going to throw a little thing out at you. Okay. So basically on this one here, this is talking about people that do different things. And rather than focusing on one thing 100%, they focus on several things. So for an example, somebody's in the plumbing industry and they say, maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to do a handyman, or you're doing this on the weekend, doing that on the weekend, and you're not really focusing on the job that you're doing, your main job, whatever you really want to be successful at. And the preface here started off with this guy that worked with him and said, hey, I think I want to open my own business. I want to do that. I want to do this. And the business was similar to what he was doing, but a little bit different because he thought he could do a lot more than just plumbing, for an example. He could do a handyman job. So, the deal is that people who become successful laser focus on what they're doing rather than trying to focus on too many things. When you focus on too many things, you have one foot in here, one foot in here, you're not really going to be able to go anywhere completely and successfully. You have too many things going on. So focus and laser focus on what you're doing. So that's kind of the gist of that part. The next one that I wanted to kind of share, a little part in here. There we go. Okay, so here comes those limiting beliefs, and this is about people who come in and they say that for some reason this is why I can't sell. I'm too short. I'm too fat. I'm too tall. I'm too young. I'm too whatever it is. I don't have the confidence. maybe I have a speech impediment or a heavy accent that people don't understand. I just can't do this. I'm not successful. Well, you're already putting negative stuff in your mind. You're not going to be successful. So you can't let things limit you. You have to basically embrace what you have and use what you have to get to your final goal. So it's basically all about confidence, your ability to be able to persuade people to do the right thing to solve their problems. So that's pretty powerful to me, because persuasion is really what sales is, right? If you can persuade somebody to do the right thing for them, you give them the right options, you let them know, these are the options you have, this is what I recommend. And it's all, the sales process is not only about persuasion, but it's also building that relationship with your customer. So if you can build a relationship with a customer, which I believe most of you can, then you have to be able to persuade them to do the right thing. You're not persuading them to do something that they don't need to do, you're persuading them to do the right thing for them. That's what sales is about. And sales is where the potential to make unlimited income is at, more than any other particular thing. Being a handyman working for yourself compared to being someone who goes in and sells the jobs, right? I mean, you're actually having a lot more. You can do both. It doesn't mean you can't do both and have your own business and sell both. But you're going to make more money in a sales process, which is what we're trying to accomplish here, is everyone being able to be a salesperson and sell, than you can just going out and doing the work that somebody else sells. Okay? One of the other things that I thought was interesting, and it just talks about businesses, people who try to start their own businesses, is that 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first 5 years. And then he kind of goes over and explains some of that and some of the bad habits, and that they believe that maybe it's because of my boss, maybe it's because of the corporate structure or whatever, but it explains that structure is the key to success. Okay? So I just wanted to share that kind of with you guys a little bit, but and when I say structure is the key to success, what we're trying to accomplish here and what we're going to continue to work on is how everyone can be successful at selling. Because if you're successful at selling, that's where the income will not be a problem. Okay? You can't just come in and expect it just to come automatically for you. You have to put the effort in. You have to give 100% every time. So I'm saying this because when we go to a job or go to a customer's home, we have to go to that home with that attitude and that mindset that I'm an eagle. I'm flying high, and I'm going to do all the right things for this customer to give them what options are best for them. And then persuade them what's the best option based on your experience and your hard work. So I throw that out at you guys so you understand that there are people out there that are just automatically, they have the personality of persuasion and they know how to sell. Okay? Some people have to work harder at it. So the question is, what do you want to do? Do you want to work hard at something that's going to get you up there with the eagles, or do you want to get down, walk around with the turkeys the rest of your life? That's kind of the bottom line. Because turkeys aren't going to ever fly. They're just not. So the processes and the programs that are out there for people who really want to be successful, I mean, I'm sure that I've heard Kevin talk about a lot of different things and how you set calls up and things like that. The salesperson, when they go out, be it John, be it Kevin, be it Sarah, be it Nick, whoever it is that's going out there, that's their job, is to persuade. And if you're doing your part and soaring up there with them and doing your part, setting up the call and building that relationship, showing your expertise, cleaning up after yourselves, and having a lot of pride in what you do, you will be successful. That's the bottom line. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you because I was reading this and I thought, there's just so many good little parts in here that kind of apply to what we're trying to accomplish, being in a commissioned sales, and that's for all of you guys. If you're not a channel leader, you're still in commissioned sales. You're still selling. So you have to be able to sell yourself. You have to be able to persuade your customer to do what's right. And you have to have the confidence to do that. Don't just go in there and be, I'm not having a good day, so I'm not going to give 100%. Well, you're not going to get 100% if you don't give 100%. You're going to be walking with the turkeys instead of flying with the eagles. That makes sense? So I know some of you guys kind of walked in late, but it is recorded, so you can kind of see what you missed. So I wanted to throw that out this morning, and then I wanted to talk again. One of the things that I mentioned on Monday was the Yelp. And I went on Yelp yesterday to see if I have any new Yelps. I don't have any. Okay, so it's only been a couple of days, but guys, we can't just let this go if we want ourselves to have the reputation that we feel we deserve and can earn. Because when customers look us up, we don't want them looking at a 3.5. We want them seeing a 4.5. So I need you guys to focus a little bit more on that as well. Get in there and just, even if you have customers that you're currently working on, you worked on last week, that they're still fresh in your mind, give them a call. Ask them for a review. If they can't give it on Yelp or don't give it on Yelp, we'll take it wherever they want to give it. It's not going to hurt, anything if they give us a good review, obviously. But we need to continue to work on that. And then the only other couple things that I wanted to talk about is when you guys are dropping off your old water heaters and stuff like that in the back, when you're doing it in the morning and if Bryce is not here, get me to open the darn thing up. We can get it in there. Because I don't want it, if it's all left back there and it gets forgot about or no one knows about it, it's going to sit back there. Someone's going to take it, number one. Number two, if you just throw it back there, now you're expecting one person to put all that stuff or roll all that stuff in there. Like Bryce wasn't here yesterday, so I did it. But it's like, just help us out, get it in there real quick, and then when we get rid of it, we get rid of it. But just don't just throw crap back there and just walk away and say, oh, someone else will take care of it. Because it'll get taken or, you may not get in there, and it's going to be a lot harder for one person to do it than for everyone who's here in the morning can get in there and knock it out. The other thing for warehouse, the warehouse door was left open yesterday morning when I went to go put that stuff in. I went and dropped off Jesse to go get a truck, came back, and the warehouse door was open completely in the back. Not the roll-up, but the actual door. So I don't know who's taking what, when, where, whatever. But I do know that I'm not seeing sheets filled out for that information coming in with payroll, so how's that stuff being charged to the job? So that stuff is supposed to be charged to the job. I mean, it still costs us money, guys. It has to come off the job. So I need to make sure if you're taking pipe or whatever out of there, fittings out of the warehouse and having someone come and get it for you, it's not just free for all, come on in, get what you want, and not worry about it. It needs to be applied to the job. So you turn in a sheet, this is warehouse inventory. If you already have the cost or approximate cost, you can put it on there, or I can get it, it doesn't matter, but at least I know it's getting charged to the job. There's a purchase order for it. Because those items have to have a purchase order like anything else. And then the last thing I really have, other than I wanted to talk about time cards. Sarah does probably the best out of everybody as far as her time sheets. She makes a mistake like everybody else here and there. She put a wrong number on whatever, no big deal.
Always in her favor.
Yeah, usually in her favor.
A little extra $10 here.
Yeah, just a little extra here, a little extra there. But Sarah, I was actually very impressed because, for an example, she had a recall for a toilet, older lady, 4 foot nothing, wanted a shorter toilet. Okay, so we had to go back. She had to get another toilet, $106. We had to send either Jesse or James, I don't remember which one got sent out, replace the toilet. Toilet sitting back here, that belongs to Sarah now because it got charged to the job. But even though that's a recall on her, she puts that in there as, hey, this was one of the jobs that I had as a recall, and there's no sale on it, it's only a cost. So she understands that that's affecting her service volume. But now next time she buys or has a toilet to install, she has a new toilet, she doesn't have to pay for it. It's hers. That's the way it works, okay? So when she fills them out, though, she doesn't put on one sheet, I worked on this on Monday, I worked this on Wednesday, I worked this on Friday, and puts the hours. She does a sheet for every day, for every job, and it makes it so easy. If she has a meeting, she puts meeting on one of the sheets. Everything is really easy to figure out. If she's paying somebody a certain rate, she says, Jesse, $20 an hour, whatever it is, it's on there. So then when I look at Jesse's and it says 20, they match. I don't have to go back and forth and try to figure out and then call Sarah and ask her, I ask her a couple of questions here and there, but it's not like I'm on the phone with her all day on her time sheets. Other people, I'm trying to figure out, what am I paying you? How am I paying you? You know, you're putting out hourly time sheets, but then you're also putting jobs that pay commission on the hourly time sheets. So, I mean, you've got, and if you're with somebody and you guys are splitting something, it needs to say split with, or, you know, paying this person this much, and that should match what their timesheet says. So please, take the time to fill them out right, so that I'm not spending all day long doing payroll. I mean, it should take me a couple of hours to do everybody. You know, yesterday it took me like 6. So it was a long time. We don't have that many people. But just trying to figure out who is getting paid what sometimes is being a little more difficult than it should. So I'd appreciate your help on filling those out. If you have a question, ask Sarah, because she's doing a great job with it. She can show you how she does it, and you guys can, you know, do it the same way. But it's basically how I explained it in the beginning. She's doing exactly what I asked, not trying to come up with her own little hybrid way of doing it. So I do appreciate that. Thank you, Sarah. And then I do have your pay stubs. These are what I'm doing like I've been doing the last couple weeks, or last week or so, last few a couple weeks. These are basically based on what I've got off your pay sheets. So if something looks wrong, if you have a question, that gives you time before payroll to get it straightened out, okay? But when I hand these out, Kevin, you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about a few things. We're now getting calls from Themis. And they got us into about, I don't know, a house, looks like 20 mil maybe house. They have 3,
Let's go.
yeah, 3 steam rooms, okay? They have radiant heat. And they have Unico systems, which are high velocity air conditioners. They have 8 air conditioners in their house. I think actually 9, because one's a mini split for the computer room. And I'd say about 75% of those need to be replaced. And I happen to have designed Unico systems in the past. And he can't find anybody to work on them. So he basically said, "Can you take over this house?" yesterday. Was basically what he's asking me. Because same thing again, he's got plumbers who sort of get it, and then he's got HVAC guys that sort of get it, but nobody really gets it. And therefore, he hasn't had heat in weeks in his house as a result of, you know, he's just at his wit's end, and can you please help me? You know, that's how the, you know, this is very, so steam is very, very powerful because it gets you into homes that, you know, it's endless. And those are the people who really can afford our services and will appreciate the value of what we have to offer as well. So I'm making I'm going to be getting with all the manufacturers of steam. There's a few others that we're not aligned with yet. But my point is this, we're going to be doing, steam's not going away. And for those of you who want to learn, either on the plumbing side or the heating and air side, it's probably easier than anything you're used to be honest with you, because it's basic, it's very, very simple. The only thing you really, that plumbing side would be challenging is learning how to use a meter a little bit, but you'll learn it so quickly, it's not even funny. It's so ridiculously simple, and I'm really shocked that most companies don't train up in it. But I'd like whoever's interested to get with me, and I'll start doing trainings. You know, we got some older units in the back here, and I'll start explaining how all this stuff works. I'll have some classes on the side when we have some time on the other days. But I'm going to make an effort, because I just keep seeing the same thing. I keep getting into multi-million-dollar homes where they need service. I mean, usually it takes me a while to get the air conditioning, but that guy just said, "Here," yesterday. I mean, I hadn't even done anything yet. I just told him I'd do it all. And that was enough. He's tapping out. That's how frustrated he is. So, anyway, I wanted to point that out, but the other thing I wanted to point out about that job real quickly is he had a thing called the water cop or flood cop or something like that, which again, that was part of the problem is the damn thing went off and shut the water off to his house. So all of a sudden, they were turning on faucets and they had no water anywhere in the house. And
So he has no idea what's going on in that.
yeah, and the plumber, he told me, well, the plumber, you know, I asked him, I said, do you have an automatic water shut off in the house? He's like, no.
Oh,
And
he doesn't know what's going on.
He doesn't know what's going on in his house, you know, that's how informed, and the maid figured it out later. I found a shut-off valve to the house, and I kept hitting the button, thinking this is the only thing it could be. Apparently there's another one somewhere else that the plumber didn't tell anybody about except the maid.
Yeah.
And the maid was, oh, he told me to push this button, and she pushed the button and everything came back on, you know. But here's my point about that is, number one, it's terrible service. You know, I've been trying to get a hold of this plumber, he's not returning my calls, and I said, probably because he's in over his head.
Yeah,
At
he
this
put it
point.
in and he was like, ran
Well,
away.
he's got other stuff, he hasn't had heat for a while, and this guy's been digging with the system. But the point is, I just told the guy, I said, you know what, he's probably afraid to come back here because he really doesn't have a solution to the problem. And I said, and I'll be happy to work with him. I wasn't throwing the guy under the bus. I said, if you want me to work with him, I'll work with him. You know, so anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, the insurance. He said, yeah. He goes, that's right. The insurance company requested that I have one of these put in, okay? So that otherwise they were gonna drop me, kind of a thing, right? Okay, so I'm letting you know that whether you know it or not, this is happening out there right now, it's real. We need to get in front of it right away and let our consumers know. Some of their insurance companies may offer reductions in their premiums as a result of having one of these systems in their homes. There's multiple systems out there. Get familiar with the pros and cons of each system.
Is that the one you showed us yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's multiple systems out there though. And this is now that the insurance companies are demanding this, I can tell you the race is on, you know, to fulfill the need. And here we are, you know, we're right in the sweet spot. You know, we've got clients like that who are now asking us if we know anything about that. You know, so it's a thing. It's going to continue to be a thing, and you need to, more than anything else, sit down and educate yourself. You don't even need me for that. You could just start surfing on the internet and researching these products, because that's what I did. You know, and that's why I know so much about these, is because that's what I do. That's why I know about hydronics. That's how I know about radiant. That's how I know about Unico systems. Is I got my nose in front of books, okay? And I could tell you most of that stuff I learned, by the way, before the internet even existed. So I had to actually go out and buy books and stuff like that. So, yeah, no.
I still make those?
No, I'm serious.
Modern hydronics.
Yeah, and I would order magazines from the trades and everything else. They were free because all the marketing in the magazines. But I used to pour through those in my spare time. Like literally, it'd be my day off, and you know I might be on the beach, but I'm reading a magazine. You know, trying to understand these systems. So, the more you educate yourself, the more you separate yourself from everybody else, the more you're going to be appreciated, especially by these consumers who have massive properties, and the more they're going to appreciate you, the more they're going to trust you, the more they're going to open up their purse to you and basically hand you the keys to their house. So I can tell you that job, I could, without even blinking, I could see at least $100 grand going off in there in a year's time.
There's a lot in that house.
It's just,
A
it's
lot.
amazing,
A lot.
yeah.
You need
What
a
is
plumber
one of
for
those
that house,
houses?
just
Uh,
to be
Look
there
around.
8 hours a
Yeah.
day.
The house was built in 2006. So you know, everyth's starting to turn now. And he even told me, he goes, yeah, it was built in 2006, I gotta replace everything already. So,
Copper and all that.
Well, it wasn't even that. He hasn't, I don't know if he's had any pinhole leaks, if it's just a valve angle stop.
So it's
But,
lots
but
of-
do you think the plumbers hit him up for new angle stops? They didn't.
What?
Yeah, no, I'm not
What were they
joking.
doing?
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Does he have a whole house water
Faucets, you
filtration
gotta-
system?
it does have a whole house water filtration, but that came with the house.
Yeah, the newer.
So it's
houses
old
are
enough, it's
will
gone
come.
through its million and a half gallons of water by now anyway, so it's
Yeah,
probably time
so
to
that
replace
could
all.
Probably
be,
double
maybe
that.
not even be working.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I haven't even
Done a
like
water test,
scratched the surface right
Yeah.
now. That guy wants heat
yeah.
more than anything else, and that's what I'm focused on. And by the way, you know, I showed him a picture of one of his steam generators. It was just a trip breaker, and I reset it and everything, and I showed him a picture of it. And he goes, "Oh wow, that doesn't look good, does it?" And I go, "No, you know, unfortunately it does, and has been leaking a little bit here and there." I said, "You know, that's just what happens with age." And he goes, "What should we do?" And I said, "We should replace it." And he goes, "Go for it." He didn't even ask me the price. He just said, "Go for it," just like that. And I was just like, "Okay, I'll let you know what the price is tomorrow." So yeah, no,
Figure it
that's.
out.
Sign
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
That's how it gets when you set yourself apart from everybody else. And you don't even have to be a good salesperson at that point. You could just be knowledgeable and they'll just say, "Thank God, take this off of me,"
Right.
you know, because they got lives to live.
Yeah.
You know.
So I
So,
find that those upper end houses, they really truly do want a one-stop shop.
Oh, yeah.
They want
Someone they
one
can
phone call
trust,
and
they
no
don't have
matter
any
what it
problems.
is,
Yeah,
it gets fixed, whether you do it or your friend does it or
they don't wanna
whatever.
hear all
That's
this
so
20-minute phone
true.
call of this
It's
and
like-
that.
Like, not Al Boubion, but one of the other houses in Newport Coast that Ryan and I went to, they're like, "Do you guys do electrical?" I'm like, "Unfortunately, we're not a C10 contractor, but we have some we work closely with." It's like, I'm gonna call around, but if I can't find anyone that I like, I'm gonna call you guys and we'll use your guy. It's like, and that was during the summer.
Right,
And it turned out he just wanted the outlet for his hot tub moved 5 feet. So,
yeah, they end up asking you like, "Oh, you guys do this, you guys do that."
I mean, I'm capable of it, but I know our license doesn't exactly let me do that.
yeah, you don't need too many of those customers to, you know. I mean, that's like, I like you guys to remember that this is almost like a business within a business if you treat it that way. You will have, Sarah's a good example of that. How many years you been here?
4, I think.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
have you ever
4,
stepped
5.
back and look at your repeat revenue? Like,
That's what I tell people, like, when I'm slow, or when the company is slow, what keeps me in the game is my repeat customers. The
exactly.
ones that like literally just call me or ask for me
Mhm.
is what puts, and that's why I appreciate them so much. Cause they don't realize it, but they're putting food on my
Oh,
table,
yeah.
you know, so I appreciate that a lot. So then I even take care of them even more,
Mhm.
you know, when it's slow. But yeah, it's just repeat customer. And like you said, when you're doing sales, it's not just sales. It's more like you said, like, it almost feels like you're not selling them something when you really get into your zone because you're really just doing what you do. Like
You're informing
you're
them.
an expert, right? You're
Yeah.
informing them, you're taking care of them.
And they trust you and
Right.
you've already got that relationship going. But that's the thing is that those customers, when you make a good impression on somebody, they call and they don't just call and say, "Send somebody." You know, I mean, they ask specifically for people. You know, and I get that all the time with Sarah. You know, Al Boubion's a good example. He calls me up to chit chat. "How's that girl?" You know, he always mentions her now because he's been so impressed by her. But you know, that's what I'm talking about is when you guys, you know, and I encourage that in the business because I used to be on the receiving end of that, and I used to hate if my customers went with somebody else and I was still working in that same company. And that's why I'm so, you know, I want you guys to know that we're gonna make every effort to get you back out there. And definitely if the customer's requesting you, and you could build your own little business in here, you don't need your own business, you can just get rid of, because trust me, it's all headaches. You can just come here, work and make money and go home and enjoy your weekend.
Right.
And they'll wait for you, that's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't, you know what, if Sarah can't be here till tomorrow, that's fine, I'll wait till tomorrow, or next week, whatever it is. I mean, it's amazing. If they can wait, they will wait for someone that they like.
Yeah.
And we're not doing anything super special that anybody can't do. Cause like, I used to suck at sales. you know, like I couldn't even sell garbage disposal like when I started. But then I just really worked at it, and I realized that little things like be yourself, don't try to be like somebody else, you know what I mean? And have this weird sales pitch that you're giving somebody and you're like making weird facial expressions and everything's getting uncomfortable, you know, things like that, and just taking pride in what you do, you know, and just doing what you do, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's huge.
Knowledge
true,
is
yeah.
important. I mean, if you know what you're doing and you can convey that to your customer, that's half the
It
battle right
doesn't
there.
even feel like you're really selling at
No.
that point, even though you are because you really want to get the job. But it's not uncomfortable, it's honest, and it's like, okay, the customer knows that. So then they're like, okay, yeah, I should do this. It's like Kevin's taught me a lot because that's the way he sells. You know, some people, they're real salesy, and it's like a different kind of sales, and that works too. But like the way Kevin sells is like that. Like you don't even know he sells it because you're like wondering what the hell did he do, but they literally just hand him the wallet.
Yeah.
And he hardly says anything sometimes, and he's just listening, but he just gives off that. Every time I go on a sales call with you, I learn a lot because I'm like, how the hell does he do that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's it's all relational.
Right.
It's all relational.
He doesn't
And-
even seem like he's trying to sell them anything.
Yeah.
Loses the confidence.
And he
just
gets
tells
the
them
whole
what's like,
thing,
what.
yeah.
That'll happen. Just be genuine. Be yourself. That's
Right,
that's
that's
a
what he does.
huge one right there. Just be yourself.
The big one I see with you, Kevin, is no matter what, the customer feels like you're just looking out for their best interest.
Right.
You're not trying to sell
That's how it should
anything.
be.
That's
That's how it
like
should be.
legit,
That's where I'm
yeah.
coming from every time.
Yep.
If you walk into the Garland job, walk into the garage and look up at that cast iron pipe, and I guarantee you, your reaction will be, oh my God, we need to get this thing looked at.
Mhm.
Not because you're looking at a dollar sign, but because you're like, oh
This
crap,
is what
you
he
got,
does, yeah.
you got cast
The
iron.
dollars just come,
you
man.
Yeah.
The dollar, when you sell like that, the dollars just come. It's just, it's there.
Yeah.
You're selling without selling almost. I mean, I totally agree with that.
When you start looking like a cheap salesperson is when you start losing jobs, you know, when you
Yeah.
start like going for the jugular every time, when you haven't done any service, you haven't done anything for them yet.
Mhm.
Even
You haven't
that,
built
you know.
any rapport.
Right.
You know. It's
Yeah,
just-
and
That's what-
that's
what-
just huge.
One thing Thomas told me, he just told me a couple weeks ago, we were just chit-chatting. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I've come to the conclusion, because you know Thomas is a student of
Yeah,
sales.
he's like.
He's read
man.
every sales book, he's been to
Yeah.
every seminar, he's done it all, you know? And I've never seen anybody take sales so seriously. He goes, you know what it comes down to? He goes, being somebody's friend, having a relationship. He goes, it's the most important thing. He goes, and you know, he goes, he goes, those books really screwed my head up. And he goes, really,
read too many.
because, you know, he goes, yeah, he goes, I went down that hole and I was trying all these different things to get better and better and better, and I keep coming back to the one thing that worked the most,
Right.
you know, and it was the relationship. You know, Tom's got great personality. That guy makes you laugh, you know, puts people at ease. He can be anybody's friend in a second, and that's all he does differently.
That's what he's good at,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what he does differently.
He's a killer too.
Well, that's the number
But
one
he's
key
not
to
even
sales,
being
though.
like super salesy, he's kind of being
No.
himself, he's not being
No, he-
overly professional to the
No,
point
no.
where it's weird.
Yeah, no.
Right
He's
in
he's
that.
very
Yeah.
much like, you know, he
Takes
you know,
control, he kills it.
he kills it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
If you look at sales, and I mean, there's a lot more in what I was reading on this, and this is very similar to what we're just talking about, is if you go in with the attitude, it's not that you're going in to sell something necessarily, other than yourself. And if you go in and you just start saying, this is what's wrong with your problem, this is this, and you're just talking like some guy, some technician who's a robot almost. I see
Yeah.
this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, yeah, I think you need to do this, whatever. You're not building a relationship. You're not really selling anything, because you're really there to sell yourself, to get that relationship with the customer like you're a friend, joking around with them, talking about their family, talking about other things that you may have in common. Drag racing, you see something, a magazine, drag racing, and you happen to like drag racing, you talk about it. The car, family things, it doesn't matter. Girl Scouts, I mean, my daughter's in Girl Scouts. Went over to someone's house, we didn't even know this person, but their daughter's in Girl Scouts. We start talking, you become kind of friendly with them, and you talk about that and other things that you have in common. That's what gets you the work and the trust, because now you're talking to them not just as some guy that's here to sell them something or to do something for them. You're there to, get that relationship going and be their friend, and then I'll help you with whatever we need to do. Here's some options for you. Which one's best for you? That's it. It's not about trying to be a hard salesperson or being too strict and just coming in and pointing out the things that are wrong and fixing them. Anybody can do that. There's all kinds of people who can fix stuff.
No, and in the end, just adding on what you're saying, Alan, like, when you go out on a furnace tune-up, you're really, really doing a safety inspection for them and their health.
Exactly.
And that's the point that you need to, hey, I went ahead, I pulled this blower housing to inspect the heat exchanger, I have some bad news and some concerns. And you leave it at that, because even with concerns, I'm sure Kevin will agree, that word triggers a different reaction than, I can't put your furnace back online, I locked out your gas valve.
Right.
Because it's dangerous. Why is it dangerous? I have some concerns. Now they're going, wait, okay, so he's looking out for me. All of your phrasing matters when you're talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, as you get better, that's the thing you're gonna
This is
learn too,
this is what I'd want done if it was
stay
my
away from-
family. Safety, talk about family, all those kind of things. I mean, I care about you and your wife, or you and your husband, or whatever it is. Your kids, and this thing is leaking. The last thing I want to do is have something on the news. I find out that you guys,
Right.
somebody got sick or hurt or died because
Mark
of
Berry's
a
a
gas
perfect
leak.
example of just little favors go a long way.
Yeah.
He had his carbon monoxide
Yeah, sometimes don't
monitor
even-
at the top of his window. It's almost a split level home, like the master bedroom goes down about 2 feet in the front of the house. Carbon monoxide detector was over by the radiant heater, but above the windowsill, the top windowsill. Carbon monoxide is heavier than air, so it pools from the bottom up. You want that thing below your resting head level when you're sleeping. By the time that alarm would have gone off, he'd have been dead. And I'm like, hey, I need to move this, wherever you want it in the house, I'll move it, but it has to be this far off the ground. Oh, I'll move it later. No, we got it. Drill in hand. Where do you want it? We're gonna move this for you. Put it somewhere inconspicuous, and that was the world to him, that somebody looked out and was like, hey, that shouldn't be there. That needs to be over here.
Another thing to look for. Another thing to look for when you're in homes, guys. If
People
that's a real
don't-
good thing.
People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep. We
That's
discussed
a
that the
prime
other day.
example of that right there. That's exactly it.
And,
That might have made your sale too, by the way.
Yeah, just
oh,
that little.
that's gonna get us back in the
for
door for
sure.
that water heater that's, trust me, that thing's getting ready. How old was that water heater, Kevin? You looked up that Bradford White number and it wasn't even in the
Yeah,
system.
it was old.
So,
And I told him, I said, you could just wait, it's outside.
Yeah, it's in the outside
I said
closet.
the
That's
prop-
like,
I
then
s-
that makes you trust somebody right
Yeah.
there. I'll tell them things like that too, because if you just tell them everything's gonna blow up,
Yeah,
they're
then
gonna
they're,
be like, you have no other, you're biased. You
Yeah,
want everything to
exactly.
blow up.
you don't
know?
want to go in. Yeah, you don't want to go in there and basically make them feel like the world is coming to an end with all their plumbing.
This is great,
Mhm.
right.
Nope.
I mean, yeah, that's just the wrong thing to do. Okay, so we have a pinhole leak that came in late last night, like 11:30. We need to get to. I think that the best way to do this. I know, Sarah, you've got a whole repipe going on too, right?
Yeah, I have some work. It's just a reroute
Okay.
and a water heater, and then tomorrow I'm going to put in the filter.
Well, so either we need to figure out. I mean, I'd like to have someone who's going to go out there and be able to maybe get this into a repipe rather than a repair as well. So, we can, depending on what your schedule is this morning, we can either send like James out first.
Okay.
And then have you just do the setup
Yeah.
process,
Yeah,
call
we can do
Sarah
that.
out, so Sarah can get going on her stuff first thing this morning, then she can
Right.
come follow you out. That
well,
would
I
be
think, looking at Sarah's schedule and what she has to do there, she could probably hit it on the way home.
Right, that would be even better.
Cause it's Villa Park.
Cause I gotta, yeah,
Oh,
that
okay,
would be
okay.
best, because I do have a lot of work that I need to do
Yeah, that's
there.
what I'm saying.
So we gotta knock out.
It would devastate your day
Right,
just to
I'm
go out
gonna
there.
run around.
So what do you think, get James out there, maybe get the water off, kinda see what,
Well, James can make the repair.
do a repair?
Um,
and
What
say
is
it's-
it in right now, Cat?
It's up in the ceiling.
It's up
It's in the
And
ceiling.
it's copper pinhole.
Right.
Yeah.
So, hey,
Their thing
I'm gonna
was-
go ahead and fix this for you, here's the cost, da, da, da,
Oh,
da.
cause we didn't charge them anything
Um,
yet?
Just the service call.
Okay, yeah, we gotta go lock in the repair.
So you lock in the repair, you get the repair done, hey, after the repair's done, you say, you know, I'm noticing some things in the attic. I have some concerns about.
Pictures.
Yeah, I'd like to get my supervisor out here. Her name is Sarah. Will you be available this evening? I've already talked to her and she said she's got a really busy day today, but she lives in Fullerton and she can swing by on her way home. Would that be okay? That's all
That's
you
it,
gotta
that's
do
it.
is set it up like that. She's a really good plumber. I trust her. All the customers love her. Build her up, right? And it's done.
Exactly.
It's done.
Perfect. All right, so let's get out and get going. We got a lot of stuff, busy day. So James, I think we'll put you on that and we'll just do it like that.